you at when it comes to your habit formation for the goals and the things that you want to accomplish? What's up, guys? Jeff here from Grit City Fitness and Performance, and today we're going to be talking about the 3 phases of habit formation, where you're at in them, and how to utilize them to really get yourself moving in the right direction. So first off, you might have heard some people say that it takes 21 days to create a habit. That is actually an incorrect statement, because 21 days is just a little too short to actually create the habit. To ingrain the habit. Inside of 21 days, you're really in the creation part of it, right? Like, it's kind of like baking a cake. You haven't made the cake yet, but you're still putting it all together. But it does take about 66 days to automate and ingrain the habit. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, is where you're at in these steps, how to move forward through them, and how to really look at them to where you're not uninspired or dragged down because it's taking too long. Because if you actually know how long the process takes and where you're at in the process, it becomes easy. Because it's kind of like climbing a mountain. If I know that the top is over here, I can keep moving forward. But if I never see an end in sight because I don't know about the end in sight, guess what? I'm probably going to stop, because at the end of the day, I don't see the outcome. So that's what we're talking about today, is how to see your outcome and how to move continuously in the right direction to achieve that habit. So before I take this even any further, I want to let you know right away that we are always creating some form of a habit. The habit could be a positive habit, like training and eating good, or going for a walk every day, or parking further away. Or we're creating bad habits, like going to happy hour 3 days a week, or coming home and having a beer, or skipping the gym because you don't feel good, or whatever it may be. All those things are habits, right? Waking up late is a habit. Is it a positive habit or a negative habit? That's up to you. But in many cases, we oftentimes say, oh, I'm lazy, I suck, I can't do this, I don't have the motivation, I'm not the person that can do that. The truth is, you're always the person that can do it. The only difference is you're currently just putting your energy and effort in the wrong direction. You're doing things that are creating non-beneficial habits for you. Instead of looking and saying, hey, I'm doing all these bad things here that are doing all the things I say I can't do, so let me just spin, course correct, and start pointing my direction the right way. So really, to start this off, guys, realize that you have the possibility to do any and everything you want. It really just comes down to you and how you're looking at the perspective. Are you saying you can't do something while simultaneously doing it in a different area? Realize you are able to do it. You just need to want to do it over here. That's it. It's really that simple. So basically, let's dive in, guys. It takes about 66 days to really build a habit. So again, it's not 21 days, but it's actually 66 days of building, right? At the point of like the 66th day, it becomes automated. And that's really what we're wanting to look for. So right away, guys, know that it's going to take you 66 days, 2 months. But realize, if you've been on the back burner because it's taking too long, you're going to wait the 6 weeks anyways, the 60 days anyways, and you're going to waste it. And you're going to waste it on building habits that are not positive, instead of building things that actually move you in the direction of happiness, fulfillment, and achievement around everything that you want. All right? The other piece about habit formation is it's oftentimes not about really changing anything, but mainly just modifying it. Many times we just need to modify our actions. We don't need to completely overhaul, and that's the other big mistake for habit formation. People are like, oh, I got to change my whole diet to be successful with nutrition. No. You just need to modify it. You don't need to change the whole diet structure. You just need to modify it. Don't worry about it. Just modify. The other piece about habits is habits can be formed around not doing something, but really you want to form these habits around doing something. So a lot of times people will be like, oh yeah, my new habit is not going to the bar. Instead, you want to actually put something new in place for that. So instead of saying, oh, my habit's not doing this, it's like, oh, my new habit is going for a walk 3 days a week. Right? Because the intent is to not remove, but just add things in that are positive. The more positives we can add into our life, the more they're going to offset the negatives, or the negatives are going to go away. And that's the real key as well for habits, is just simply focusing on the positives and not worrying about removing or doing anything with the negatives, because they're going to naturally fall off. So let's jump into what these habits are, or where we're at in our habit formation, guys. So inside the 3 phases of habit formation, we've got the initiation phase, which is basically the first 1 to 21 days or so. We've got the learning phase, which is 21 days to about 47 days, or about the 47-day mark. And then we've got the stability phase, which is from 47 to about the 66-day mark. After the 66-day mark, right, this is when the habit is actually significantly formed, and this is when it becomes automated, right? This is when you don't have to think about it. So I'm going to use 2 contexts of learning this or understanding it, okay? First one's going to be the idea around, learning how to write just ABCs, and I'm also going to use the context of flying an airplane, okay? So, inside the initiation phase, guys, the initiation phase is really the hardest phase because it's all about new behavior and understanding the context. So if you've ever walked into a new environment, you have no idea about anything. So it's all about just new things, right? You're overwhelmed and it's really, really hard. So if we were looking back to when you were a child, or if you have children, or you've taught someone how to write, the initiation phase is the step in which we're teaching them how to write A, then how to write B, how to write C. Now you might think this is damn easy, right? But it takes about 21 days of constant thought and effort to write that A perfectly and that B perfectly, right? From there though, or again, if we'll go back to the airplane idea too, if we're in the airplane, right, the initiation phase is simply walking on and seeing the cockpit. You're not touching anything per se. You're just walking on and seeing what this new thing is, this new environment, new behaviors, and basically you just try and mold into it, right? What are they doing? What are these positive actions, or what do I need to be doing inside of this initiation phase? After the initiation phase is done though, we go into the learning phase. So day 21 through about day 47. Inside the learning phase, this is all about behaviors being repeatedly followed to the same context cue until the context or behavior is associated. Okay, so that's kind of a lot of stuff jumbled right there. But basically the learning phase is now, if we were talking about the alphabet again, is where we have developed the ability to write the A's, the B's, the C's, all the way to Z. And now we put them into words. We take those letters that we were writing and putting them into words. And this is where we start to learn that those letters have meaning. Those letters do things or say things, right? So inside the idea of the plane idea, we've initiated by just simply understanding the new environments and behaviors that we have to be doing. But in the learning phase, we start to learn the dials. We start to learn the dials. Now, this doesn't mean that we automatically understand it, but we still have to think like, oh shit, if I want to turn the engine off on the right side and dim this other one down, which button do I have to push? So then I'm spending 35 seconds to think like, oh, it's probably this switch and this switch, okay? But that's okay. You still need that because those learning phases is where you start to understand. Then we've got the stability phase. So stability phase, again, day 47 through 66. And inside the stability phase, it's all about, basically the habit has been formed in this case, like you have the habit of hitting that button or that button, but it's not automated. You still have to actively think a little bit. And it moves towards an automated behavior though. So at this point, it really does become like, okay, this is getting easier, 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 and easier. It takes less thought, it takes less effort, and it becomes more automated. But the automation, again, happens at day 66. So I'm going to take one more big, massive step back, and we're going to go through the idea of the habit roller coaster for just a second. So if you've ever been on a roller coaster, you know what happens. You usually will strap into the roller coaster, sit in kind of this like waiting bay for a few seconds, and then finally the roller coaster activates or initiates. Okay, you're in the roller coaster, and then it starts really, really slow moving, like kunk kunk, kunk kunk, kunk kunk, and you're only on flat. So all you've done is basically just simply moved out of the tunnel. In a sense, you've started to slowly creep out of the tunnel, but it takes a lot of force. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of work. And this is usually where most people stop. They stop in the initiation phase because it takes effort. But if you realize, again, like what I said at the beginning, how long it takes and what part you're in, you can continue to move forward because it's kind of like these landers at your house or in your stairs, right? Each lander is a new phase. So if I can make it past the initiation phase, I'm in one lander and I'm a little bit more comfortable. Then I can move into the learning phase, and then I can move into the stability phase, and then I've created my habit. But again, going back to that roller coaster, the initiation phase is simply getting that roller coaster initially moving. just moving. Now again, it's fighting a lot of resistance here. It's not going fast, it's going very, very slow, and it's still working hard, just like, come on, come on. Then we go into the learning phase. The learning phase is as soon as you come out of the tunnel, you'll usually see some sort of hill or incline. Now as soon as you hit that incline, the car slants, you slam back in your seat, and you kind of get tucked back. Now at this point, you're fighting a lot of uphill resistance. But this is that learning phase. You started to build that little bit of momentum, but you've hit the learning phase. Now inside the learning phase, this is where you're going to be resisting against everything to improve into the next heighter elevation. However, as you're climbing that mountain or elevation on the roller coaster, you again start to see the peak, or where it becomes a little easier. So you're able to sit in that. And again, that's from the day 21 to about day 47. At the point you crest the top of the hill of the roller coaster, that's about when the stability phase kicks in, because now the cart has been moving up and it's stabilized its ability to create momentum. Because how did it do it? Well, it got to the top of the learning phase hill. At the top of the learning phase hill, this is when we take our hands off the roller coaster rails, we put them up in the sky, and the roller coaster goes boom, and shoots down and just drives all the way around the whole roller coaster. Well, that's the stability phase. That stability phase is when you get to be a little bit more hands off, and you're basically just there, doing the activities and improving them. But during the stability phase, that's when it becomes the easiest almost, outside of the habit itself. Because during the stability phase, you're locking those steps in and making them easy as possible. After that point though, once you reach the habit formation, it's all about the cruise control on the roller coaster. But again, you have to go through that initiation phase, that really, really hard bumpy tunnel, to then get to your learning stage, which is that uphill climb, which again, the initiation phase is 1 through 21 days. So make that first 21 days and you're outside of the initiation phase. Once you're in the learning phase though, again, realize it's gonna take a couple days. It's gonna take 21 days to your 47 days. But you're in the learning phase. This is where improvements are happening all around you. It takes a lot of active thought to do so, but you're improving each day. Maybe your strength is going up. You're using new weights. You're improving your movement quality. You're making better decisions around your food. All those are learning phase activities. Then we meet the stability phase where we get to go hands off on the roller coaster a little bit more, day 47 through day 66. This is when the things become automated, they become easier. You don't have to think so much about the weights you're using or your movement you're doing, just how you're going to improve the function each day, and little tiny micro screws, basically. After that, the habit is now formed. You've created the habit that now is going to keep you doing that activity until you somehow want to choose to change or break it. At that point, you're ingrained and locked in. So this is why it's so important to make sure you go through the whole habit roller coaster, or the 3 phases of habit formation, so that way you can make it to the actual point of habit creation. Otherwise, that's why most people will never succeed, is because they never go to day 66. They want it to be easy. They want to form a habit inside of the first 21 days, where they have no idea around the things that they are required to do to make that a habit. They haven't locked in the activities. They haven't created the leverage, climbing that hill, to gain the momentum, to go in through the stability phase of locking those activities in and gaining speed and momentum and being able to hit the turns and going up new hills, right? Because to get the momentum to ride that roller coaster, we had to initiate the roller coaster. And then we had to learn or create movement. So learning was the climbing of the hill again. So that was creating momentum for us to be able to go into the stability phase to where we could hit those turns and go through it nice and quick. So where are you at in your habit formation for the goal that you have? Are you in the initiation phase? Are you in the learning phase? Are you in the stability phase? Or are you in the habit formation phase where it's automated? Right? For me, my daily activity of waking up and going to the gym has been done for so many days, I don't even think about it. But currently, I'm still in the learning phase of my BJJ, my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because it's something that I have to think about to go and do. It's not something where I hop in my car, I have all my stuff already ready, and I just arrive like, oh man, I didn't even think about driving here. I still have to be like, oh, where am I going? Oh, I'm gonna go to BJJ, it's 5:30, okay, I gotta go that way. Oh, I gotta go in the other direction from where I'm used to going. Now again, habit formation is not about always removing stuff. It's just simply about adding new positive things. On top of that, we need to know that we're always trying to make sure that we're really not necessarily looking at trying to drastically change stuff, but just simply modifying it, right? Going back to nutrition, too many people are trying to overhaul everything they do instead of looking at it and saying, hey, all I gotta do is make this modification. Think about it like your accounting or your financials, right? If you are overdrafting your account, you don't need to stop spending on everything to make sure you don't overdraft. You just need to modify your spending so you're not spending as much or buying things that you don't need. It's about modification, not removal. Not changing everything, but just simply improving the structure. And again, it's all going back to which phase of this are you in? Are you in your initiation phase, days 1 through 21 of this new activity, task, requirement, or habit you want to form? Are you in days 21 through 47, the learning phase of this new habit or activity you want to create? Or are you in the stability phase, days 47 through 66, where now it's becoming a little easier, you're starting to be hands-off, you're starting to enjoy the process, and you're locking and securing your activities? Or are you in that habit formation where you don't even have to think about what you're doing at this point in time because it's so ingrained in your daily activities, your daily thoughts, your daily tasks? Now again, taking one more massive step back before we end this. Are you creating habits that are positive or are you creating habits that are negative? Look at the things that you're doing in your life and ask yourself, are these going? So this is a real big question that many people don't get. Is that if I had 2 poles, right? Many times people, like, let's say these poles were this tall, okay? I had 2 poles, and I tilted them just slightly. Well, if you followed that till the end of time, how far would those poles be separated? Now, the pole in my right hand, over here, is my positive pole. The pole in my left hand is my negative pole. Now, again, if they're here, and they go straight up together, they're always gonna have the same gap. But, as soon as one's a negative habit, one's a positive habit, look and ask yourself, if these went on for eternity, how much of a gap is that going to be? Because that's the real big question when it comes to your daily activities. Because many people don't look at the really long term. They're like, oh shit, well, these poles are only right here. This is as high as these poles go. They're not that far apart. But each day, they grow higher and higher and further apart. And as they grow further and further apart, you have a bigger and bigger gap between what and who you want to be and what and who you actually are, because the activities, tasks, habits, and things that you're doing. So ask yourself and look at the things that you're doing and say, hey, are these in alignment with who I want to be or what I want to achieve? Or are they sending me down the wrong path? And then you have to look long term, because that's the only way you're going to really see the discomfort, unpleasure, and the thing that you don't want in full clarity, because you're going to say, hey, oh man, if I keep going to the bar every day for the next 47 years, I'm way the hell over there. But if I go to the gym every day for the next 45 years, I'm way over here. Which one do you want to be?